Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the 3-Minute Horror Show. My name is Ben, your host, and I love horror movies. In fact, I watch the bad movies so that you don't have to. You're welcome. Today I'll be reviewing the movie Guts on the Chainsaw from 2023. Do you think the title of this is going to run me into trouble with YouTube? We shall see.
Right to jail.
A young woman with a troubled past goes for a hike in the woods and accidentally happens upon a family of homicidal maniacs.
Wow.
This movie was written and directed by Ryan Cavallini from Legend Hunters Films. He's based in Pennsylvania, and most of his stories revolve around folk tales and local legends from that area. Now, I've seen a few of his other movies, including The Devil's Hacksaw and Down the Chimney with a Shotgun, and unfortunately, I wasn't a big fan. But did I enjoy this one? Stick with me and find out. Guts on the Chainsaw is available to stream here in Canada on Tubi. The movie starts off with the narrator telling us that hundreds of people have gone missing in the woods of Pennsylvania and no one quite knows what's happened to them, while some stock footage of a search party plays. We get a sneak peek at what happens to those people in the woods, though, as we're shown a worker checking some machinery. He is shot and dispatched by a masked goon who appears to be wearing a sack over his face. And unfortunately, every time this worker is wounded, a blood filter is added to the camera. Not a great start. It took me a little bit, but I found the Pennsylvania lore that this movie was based on. The Albino Cannibals of Ghost Mountain, or Haycock Mountain, depending on who you ask. People believe that a family of albino cannibals live in a structure at the top of the mountain near a covered bridge. Now, I read that this covered bridge has its own story. They say that a guy hung himself in there, and if you drive in and you turn off your car and you turn it on and off 3 times, your car will stop working completely. Or, if you turn your car off, honk 3 times, and then turn on your headlights, you'll see the hanging guy in front of you. These are oddly specific numbers, and I wonder how they figured that stuff out. Now, the albino cannibals hide in the trees, and they drop down on hikers as they pass by, turning them into lunch.
Ouch.
They run from tree to tree, do moonlight rituals, and shoot rock salt from shotguns at cars as they pass by. But has anyone ever found real evidence that they exist? No. It's pretty wild, though. When you're researching something like this, you find out just how many other places in the United States have supposed albino cannibal cults operating within them. There's another albino cannibal cult in San Jose, and another one in Omaha, Nebraska. Leave the albinos alone, people! But now we're introduced to Nova, played by actress Nikki Carlson. She's a recovering addict, and she spent some time in a mental hospital for something that she can't remember. She is having dreams of a man in a mask made from skin chasing her with a chainsaw. Her friend drops her off in the Pennsylvania woods because Nova thinks that a long hike will help her recovery. Couldn't be me, but you do what you gotta do. For what it's worth, though, the forest locations that Cavallini chose are very, very nice. As Nova travels, we hear a little bit more of her backstory. We see some flashbacks, we see her writing in her diary, and eventually she starts running into backwoods weirdos, like this guy, who's doing an impersonation of the hitchhiker from Texas Chainsaw 1 with a little bit of Bill Moseley from Texas Chainsaw 2 mixed in. This movie was heavily inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I don't think there's any shame in that. That movie was one of a kind and a masterpiece. People love to imagine weirdo cannibal families, living out there in the middle of nowhere, and capturing and eating the cars full of teenagers that always seem to pass through.
Damn, son.
Here are a few other films that might interest you if you've got a hankering for some skin masks and some bones used as decorations.
Gross.
The Hills Have Eyes from 1977. Wes Craven saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and said, "Hold my beer." This one is about a cannibal family that's living out there in the Nevada desert near the site where they used to test nuclear weapons in the 50s. The cover features a very scary-looking Michael Berryman, who is still looking very scary to this day. Brute 1976 from 2025. Now, this one is kind of a hybrid between The Hills Have Eyes and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's got all the skin suits and the weird family, but it also takes place at that weird abandoned city tourist attraction in the middle of the Nevada desert. It's also got a gnarly penis trauma scene that they censored with a black box on Tubi for some reason. House of a Thousand Corpses from 2003. Love 'em or hate 'em, Rob Zombie makes commercially viable horror movies. This one is definitely not my favorite, but it was entertaining. Holy smokes, what a cast too! Did you remember that Walton Goggins was in this movie? I had no idea until a recent rewatch. Night Killer from 1990. Okay, this movie isn't a Texas Chainsaw clone at all. It's a crazy movie from Claudio Fragazzo that I've covered on this channel before. But It was marketed in Italy as Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. While all this is going on, we see a guy in a gas mask attack a husband and wife who must live nearby. And again, we get these awful blood filters on the camera. Nova is eventually joined by another hiker who seems to be somewhat normal, and even better, he knows where he's going. After a short while, though, they part ways, and I have to say again, these woods are really lovely. I noticed some orange paint on the trees, too. Is that for hunters? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, eventually, Nova finds the family, a Texas Chainsaw-inspired group of villains and their lair. While the action picked up a lot towards the end of the movie, the story felt quite slow getting to that point. Yes, the forest was gorgeous to look at, but that alone isn't going to keep the movie afloat. And again, this was definitely inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The effects were a mix of practical and the extremely poor CGI blood spray and camera filters that I showed you in the clips. I understand that you gotta do what you gotta do with the budget that you have, but if you're already using the CGI for blood spray, adding the camera filter is just overkill. They definitely made up for it with the amount of fake blood they used at the end, though. Nicky Carlson did a great job as Nova. In fact, I think that all of the actors in this movie did a fine job. So overall, this movie wasn't for me, but it's the best that I've seen from Cavallini and Legend Hunters films so far. I rate Guts on the Chainsaw a 5 out of 10.
Mamma mia!
As always, a link to my letterboxd appears in the video's description. Please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe, as it really does boost my engagement and helps my channel grow. Smell you later, nerds!
I asked you a question. Have you seen the magic trick?